Is high ticket dropshipping dead? Is it saturated? Is it too competitive? Is it even a viable option for 2024 and 2025? It is estimated that between 20 and 30% of all dropshipping businesses make a sale within the first month of running ads. And when I say all dropshipping, I'm taking into account both high ticket and low ticket dropshipping. Literally anybody that is running a dropshipping business. When you think about it, 20 to 30% of dropshipping businesses making a sale within the first month is actually pretty good. But when you compare it to dropshipping businesses that fail after the first 3 months, it doesn't really add up, because roughly 90% of all dropshipping businesses fail after the first 3 months. How do you even make sense of that? There's a lot of variables that you have to take into account. I studied statistics in college. That's what I got my undergrad degree in. And I'll be the first to tell you that I will never be a statistician in my career. But earning a 4-year degree in statistics has kind of forced me to look at these kind of stats in a different viewpoint than a lot of people will. Because I think a lot of people will look at that 90% number and be like, well, it's not even worth trying. The thing about when you take an average of all businesses is you're taking into account literally every business from every person, from every financial situation, from every background, whether it's a lot of experience, whether it's no experience, whether it's some experience, whether it's a good framework to follow, whether someone had a mentor, whether someone is just setting up a Shopify store and throwing something at the wall and seeing what sticks. There's so many variables that you have to take into account. It comes down to what industry are you in? What kind of products are you selling? What kind of companies are you partnering with? What kind of marketing strategies are you using? There's so many different things that influence the way that a business goes, whether it's drop shipping or not. So when you take a true average of all businesses and you say over 90% of drop shipping businesses fail after the first 3 months, honestly, that makes sense. So let's talk about high ticket drop shipping. Is it a viable option to make money online right now and going into 2025 and beyond? I think it's an interesting question when people ask, is high ticket dropshipping dead or is high ticket dropshipping saturated? Because I don't think that's the question that makes sense to ask. Asking if a business model is saturated really doesn't make sense at all. Dropshipping at its core is shipping a product to a customer. When you are a dropshipping business, you are simply listing products on your website that you are not physically carrying yourself. All you're doing is taking orders, sending those orders to suppliers, and having them ship the product to the customer. It's simply a method of order fulfillment. So to ask, is high ticket drop shipping saturated? I don't think that's the right question to be asking. I think the correct question to be asking is, are high ticket drop shipping niches too saturated at this point? And the answer to that is some definitely are. In fact, increasingly many have become saturated over the years because they've become well known on YouTube, or people just through their own research have kind of caught on to something that does well. But to suggest that the business model in and of itself has become saturated or will ever become too saturated, I think is a very silly notion, because there are basically, over the course of time, going to be infinitely many high ticket products that you could possibly sell online. Right now, there are thousands of high ticket products out there that I myself have never thought of, never heard of, that could easily be sold online in high ticket dropshipping. And this is coming from someone that has spent hours upon hours upon hours researching high ticket dropshipping products. So if you ask me, is selling exercise equipment in high ticket dropshipping a good idea? I'm going to tell you no, because everybody knows about exercise equipment. Lots of people are selling exercise equipment. It's going to be way too competitive. You're going to be throwing your money away. I would tell you the same thing about saunas. I would tell you the same thing about bathtubs. I would tell you the same thing about wine coolers. The thing is you have to get more creative, and you have to start looking beyond the obvious in high ticket dropshipping. And you might say, well, those products are very unusual. They aren't super obvious. And I would agree with you, but having spent enough time in this space, in the e-commerce space, in the high ticket dropshipping space, I'm telling you, those are very obvious products. An example that I have used a couple of times on this channel is this high-ticket dropshipping store that I caught wind of when I was selling my first high-ticket dropshipping business last summer. And literally all this store sold was replacement parts for Caterpillar bulldozers. They sold something in the ballpark of like $2.4 million, and it was only like a year old. So this is what I'm talking about. It's like, that's something that a lot of people would never even consider selling. Just kind of goes to show you, The niche possibilities are endless. It's just a matter of finding them. Admittedly, that is much easier said than done. So how do you succeed in high-ticket dropshipping right now and in 2025 and beyond? Well, I would say that there's a very short answer to that, and the answer is to not stop trying. Now, I know that's also easier said than done, but if something is not working and you stop doing it entirely, that is the number one way to ensure that it never works for you. For myself, when I first got started, it took about 3 weeks to see a single sale come in. And in my first month of running ads, I maybe touched $1,000 in sales and was not profitable. In my second month, I kind of started to figure out what worked and what didn't work, and what sold and what didn't sell. And I actually ended up with a $15,000 month. And that was a bit profitable for me. Granted, at the time, I was only spending about $30 a day on Google ads. Then the following month, I did $30,000 in sales. And then the following month, I did $65,000 in sales. And there's a lot of stuff behind this that it's easy to just talk about this and say, yeah, that's just the natural course of things. It just naturally scaled over time. But it took a lot of effort and work and thought and getting feedback from peers and learning my industry that I was in, getting an idea of the types of questions that customers ask to really make my website perfect, or as perfect as can be, to sell the products that I was trying to sell. And not only that, but actually offering quality customer service, doing follow-ups, making customers feel like they were well informed and cared about whenever they would either visit my website or call the number on the website, and I would talk to them on the phone. And those are all things that I feel like are kind of missed in today's day and age in high-ticket dropshipping and in e-commerce in general. A lot of people just want to put in minimal effort. They want to use some sort of plug and play system, which basically doesn't really exist. And they don't want to actually put in the time, the effort, the thought, and the work to make something work over time, especially if it doesn't happen within the first month or even within the first few months. I've got a couple students in my course that ended up partnering up together. They met each other in my program, and the first guy, it took him, about a year in my program to figure things out for himself. He was kind of doing it on and off. He had kind of other stuff going on, but these guys ended up partnering up together, and, like 8 months later, they actually started to see meaningful sales come in. The ideal case is that it happens much sooner than that, but the reality is it's just going to be a different situation for every single business that ever gets started in this space. High-ticket dropshipping is both very simple and very complex at the same time. I always tell people that there are 3 things that you have to get right in order for this thing to work. The first is your niche. That is absolutely the number one most important thing. And I work with students one-on-one in my high-ticket dropshipping program, finding niches that ideally will work. We put a lot of thought, a lot of time, and a lot of discussion into it, and I work side by side with you to figure it out. Niche is number one. The second thing is your website. Are your product pages set up to where they can easily convey important information about a product that you're selling? Does it look nice? Can a customer land on your product page and figure out in 30 seconds exactly what it is that they're looking at and exactly what it is that they need about a product that they may or may not know a lot about? Is your website navigation set up in a really intuitive way? Have you followed basics as far as SEO, like breadcrumbs or page speed or image optimization? So we've covered niche, we've covered website. The third is your Google Ads. Out of all of the things that you can control in this model, Google Ads is the thing that you can control the least, but you do still have a lot of control over it if you are running standard shopping ads or search ads, which is the only thing that I have ever and will ever use in this model until Google tells me I cannot use those types of ads anymore. The simple goal of your Google Ads is to simply show your products to people that are searching for them on Google. And like all of the things in this model, it is easier said than done, but I go very in depth as far as how to do Google Ads in my program. So niche, website, Google Ads, if you do all of those things really well, you will make a lot of money with high-ticket dropshipping. So then it comes down to, should you take an online course? And that should honestly be up to you. If you want to save the money for actually running your business, I totally get that. I will say, having gotten my start in an online course myself, it makes things a heck of a lot easier, and it consolidates a lot of stuff that I know I could find on YouTube or other places online. It consolidates all of the steps that I need to follow in order from people that are experienced in this into just a single course. And not only that, the one-on-one mentorship is probably the most invaluable piece that any entrepreneur can find when they're trying to start a business in an industry that they've never been in before. So I encourage you to check it out. As always, I'll put the link in the description below. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, helps my channel a lot, and let me know in the comments what other content you guys want to see about high-ticket dropshipping. Until next time.